Hey folks, welcome back to Guitar Wishlist. My name is 3-Chord Dave and today we're talking about the Ibanez Destroyer, or the Ibanez Destroyer 2, actually. That's the one going on the wish list. Now, I want to remind you, every episode of this series is heavily influenced by this book here, The 1001 Guitars You Should Dream of Playing Before You Die. It's a very cool book and you should check out your copy. There are links in the description so you can do things like that and support the channel. However, today's episode is inspired by regular viewer Todd Moore, who recommended checking out the Ibanez Destroyer. And I did, and it's a very cool guitar, so we're doing the episode straight away. So thanks Todd for recommending this guitar. Now if you want to recommend a guitar to be on Guitar Wishlist, all you got to do is come to 3-Chord Dave Live, which happens every Saturday. It happens at 10 p.m. Irish time. Hit subscribe, hit notifications. You'll get a notification, you'll come and join the party. We always have a great time, so we look forward to seeing you there. Now the Ibanez Destroyer is a very cool guitar when you look at it, and it came out of Japan in the mid to late 70s. So we've talked about it before, you probably know about it, the lawsuit guitars, the lawsuit era guitars, all that sort of stuff. Basically how that was and how it came to be is that some Japanese musical instrument manufacturers were like, hey, Fender and Gibson kind of having a bad time right now, and they were, owned by CBS and Norland respectively. They were not in the best of their glory times, those two companies. So the Japanese folks were like, hey, let's make American guitars better than the Americans. And they did. So people were like loving these guitars. We'll talk about who loved them in a little bit. But the Destroyer came out, and one of my favorite ever pieces of guitar marketing was when they advertised the guitars, they said, explore the Destroyer. Fantastic, absolutely brilliant, just completely ripping the piss out of Gibson, and we all know that I'm a big fan of people doing that. So Gibson's lawyers had a hissy fit. They were like, hey, you guys over in Fujigen, you can't do this. That's our design. And it really was. Look, it was exactly this. It was. You would mistake this. Headstock, everything was the same. So between those 3 years, they got away with making them and pumping them out. But 1978, after a lawsuit settlement, they stopped. They had to stop making them. It was 1981, though, they brought them back with the Destroyer 2. And that's where we get the cooler version, the cooler designs, where there was a little bit of adjustments made so that they could sell them again. So they're similar, but different. And they've got that Ibanez spin on them, which is a lot better. But if you think, well, Gibson suing people, I wish they'd stop doing that. They actually had a point with this one. As you can see the Explorer and the Destroyer were almost identical. And then if you look at, say, the Les Paul Custom, and then you look at the Ibanez 2350, which had a headstock that looked like that. They basically made the exact thing. That's the split diamond is very iconic and should only be on Les Paul Custom. So, you know, they had a point back then. They don't so much have a point now, I don't feel, but there you go, that's a business thing. So who exactly would have played one of these guitars? Well, Eddie Van Halen played a Carino one on the first Van Halen album, so that's some coolness right there. Some dude called Dave Mustaine played one while he played in a band called Metallica. Phil Collen, who was in Def Leppard, he played one from 81 to 84 apparently as a main touring guitar. And then there was also a guy called Paul Stanley, who you probably have heard of. He used it as his #1 guitar on the Unmasked tour in 1980. So some pretty big hitters were using these Ibanez guitars back in the day. Now for me, I think these are excellent guitars. I think it's the Destroyer 2 that has that standout appeal for me above the Explorer. An Explorer is an Explorer, but a Destroyer 2 is something completely different while also being very similar. I know that makes no sense, but hey, it's different, but it's the same. I think they're pretty cool, and I really do thank Todd for pointing this out to me on Saturday, and now here we are talking about it today. So I checked Reverb for a Destroyer 2 from 1981, looking around 1,900 euros, give or take $1 or $2. But you can actually pick up Destroyers somewhere around the 500 euro mark. Now they are newer, kind of, I think, Chinese made. I could be wrong on that. Chinese or Indonesian made ones are available. If you're looking for different variations, you will pick them up cheaper as well. So there's all kinds of options for you here in the Destroyer market. But on the guitar wish list from now on is the 1981 Destroyer 2. I think they're very, very cool. And yeah, thank you very much, Todd. And if you want your guitar or your favorite guitar mentioned on Guitar Wishlist to have its own episode, let me know. Come to 3-Chord Dave Live and recommend it. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think of the Ibanez Destroyer. I think they're awesome. You should too. Anyway, I'll be back with another guitar wish list next Monday, and I'll be back with another guitar video very soon. And until then, take care.